Welcome back to the Royals franchise, where today we will get through the draft and the trade deadline. So we have a lot to get through in today's episode, but we at least have time to jump into one game taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Top one, it would be Franmil Reyes going big fly, hitting his 14th home run of the year. If he's able to keep up the good play that he has been doing so far this season, then he will be traded in today's episode. Jose Siri and the Rays are going to answer right back in the bottom of the second with an RBI single. Top four, Drew Waters recently called up, and he's going to crush one to left field. It would get out of here in a hurry. It's his third home run of the season. Bottom five, the bases loaded for Brandon Lowe, and he's going to leave him loaded as he strikes out in the fastball away from Dylan Coleman. Still 3-1, bottom six, Francisco Mejia hitting one on a line to left field. Dominic Smith racing back at the wall. He's going to leap, and he's unable to make the catch. It would roll around. Eventually, Elmore picking it up. He'll throw to the cutoff man, Bobby Witt Jr., who throws to the plate, and it's going to be a relay in time, getting Rowdy Tellez. A great job by the Royals defense, keeping it 3-1. Still 3-1, top seven. Harold Castro striking out in a fastball inside. And he's going to be out number one with the bases loaded. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be out number two. He'll strike out as well. Can Nick Madrigal pick his teammates up? He cannot. He's going to pop out on the infield, and the Royals are unable to add to their 3-1 lead. With his team down just a run in the bottom of the ninth inning, Wander Franco, who's been on the bench all day, will enter the game as a pinch hitter, and he's going to deliver in the clutch, hitting a solo home run to right center field. The superstar shortstop is going to help send this game to extra innings, tied at 3. Top 11, Franmil Reyes with a 1-2 count. Hits one on the ground, down the first base line, and they're going to call that a foul ball. I thought it was fair, but they call it foul. Another chance for Franmil after that foul ball, but he strikes out in a curveball out of the zone. Vinny Pasquantino, he's going to pick up his teammate by hitting it to left field, and Salvador Perez is going to round third, heading for home, and the throw is going to be just not in time. An RBI single from Vinny Pasquantino makes it 4-3. Is that enough for the Royals to win this one? It's not going to be. Jose Siri is going to destroy one to left field, and it's a no-doubt walk-off home run for the Rays center fielder, and the Rays are going to win this one 5-4 over the Royals. The pitching staff just couldn't hold the Rays offense down for long enough, and the bats, they put together 4 runs on 8 hits, with 4 of those hits coming from Drew Waters, who had himself a pretty impressive day. We are sitting at 33-49 on July 1st, a couple of days away from the draft, but we are actually going to be making a trade right now. We're going to be trading away Edward Olivares, who has not exactly been great for us, and has a couple of years left of team control, so we could keep him, but I would rather move on and free up some playing time for somebody else. We are also going to be sending away Amir Garrett, and the team that we're going to be trading these two away to is actually going to be the Tampa Bay Rays, the team that we just lost to. In return, we're going to get back Greg Jones, who's not really hitting well at AAA, and I hope he can turn it around at AAA, because that's where he's going to be for us for now. Maybe eventually he could be called up to the big leagues if he starts doing something with the bat. Tristan Peters is also going to be another interesting player that we're getting. He's going to be going to AA at just 22 years old. I don't think he's quite ready for AAA. He needs to work on a couple of his ratings, but I have high hopes for both of them. Drew Waters is the big reason that we're actually making this deal. I wanted to free up some playing time for him. He's been hitting the ball pretty well so far. I hope he keeps it up, especially with the more playing time that we're going to be giving him. Josh Stamets is going to be inserted into the bullpen after we call him back up from AAA. We are also going to be calling up Bobby Bradley Jr. He isn't exactly lighting the world on fire at AAA, but we need somebody to play third base. I know he's not exactly the greatest fielder. I'm just hoping that maybe if we throw him into the fire, it can jumpstart him. And we also might do that with Nick Prado down the line. For now, he's going to stay at AAA, but eventually he will be called up to the big leagues regardless of if he's hitting or not. We have a couple of players that ended up making the Futures team. One of them is starting pitcher Asa Lacy, who is having a great season at AAA. If he keeps it up, he will likely make his big league debut later this year. Relief pitcher Danny Meredith has seen his potential and overall both go up. If he keeps pitching well, he could get the call this year, but what I think is more likely with him is that we invite him to spring training and see how he does then. Bob Clausen, a closing pitcher, has his ERA and WHIP both under 1, and he is going to be getting the call up to AAA after the All-Star break So all three of those guys are having impressive years. I hope they all three can keep it up. We have arrived at the draft, and in the last episode, I already told you the draft plan that I have, but I'll tell it to you again in case you missed it or forgot. The plan right now is to take Daryl Ciccone, a starting pitcher, in the first round at pick number 8. He is draft rank 43 on the overall big board, so he likely will be available at pick number 8 for us in the first round. If we end up going with him in the first round, I would like to take a position player in the second round, but only if one of these 4 players fall. That would be Gilberto Diaz, who you're looking at right now, Terrence Berman, a catcher, Robert Nakamura, a shortstop, or the most likely to fall of the 4 is John McGregor, a center fielder who is draft rank 38 on the overall big board, so maybe he falls to the second round, but maybe not. If he doesn't fall, if all 4 of those guys end up being taken in the first round, then we would pretty much be going starting pitcher in the first 3 rounds, because that is mostly what we have scouted, and what appears like to be the best players in this draft are starting pitchers. So we would go starting pitcher in the first 3 rounds, and after that, I would like to go with some position players that have high potential, but maybe not the highest overall right away, like Amaury Valentin, who you're looking at right now, and hopefully we could get this draft plan to work, but if not, then I guess we'll wing it and hope for the best. The draft has started, and the Pirates are going to go with an injured starting pitcher to begin the draft at pick number 1 in Martin McGrath. And the Nationals make it back-to-back starting pitchers to begin the draft as they go with Aubrey McHugh at pick number 2. And to make it 3 straight starting pitchers to begin the draft as Julian Soriano goes pick number 3 to the Tigers. Fortunately for us, the starting pitcher that we want is still available at pick number 8. And we are going to end up selecting him, Daryl Ciccone. I mean, how can we not take him? He is draft rank 1 on our board, and he just looks like he's going to be a great pitcher and a potential future ace. So we do end up selecting him at pick number 8, and everything is going according to plan so far. Advancing on to later picks in the first round, Terrence Berman, he goes at pick 11. That's the catcher that I was hoping would fall. Gilberto Diaz, he goes pick 13. So a couple of the position players that I was hoping would fall have not fallen, and Robert Nakamura goes at pick 19, meaning there's only one of those position players left, and he ends up going the very next pick at pick 20. So we have gotten sniped on all 4 of those position players. And to make matters worse, Orlando Tovar, the starting pitcher I was hoping to take in the second round, he ends up going at the end of the first round. We advance on to the second round, now up on the clock at pick 43. We could go with Manuel Aquino right now, but he is not ranked on the overall big board, so I think we can hold off on him and get him in a future round. So we're going to take a chance on a different starting pitcher, and that starting pitcher is David Perez. He's out of Venezuela. He's draft rank 4 on our board. Maybe not the craziest overall, at least right away, but the potential, it should be pretty high. So we end up picking him in the second round, and I have high hopes for him. I mean, he is draft rank 4 on our board, so he should at least be decent. Now in the competitive balance round B, we have a pick at pick 74, and I'm not going to risk Manuel Aquino being taken by another team anymore, so we're just going to take him now. He is draft rank 8 on our board, and that would mean that we get 3 of the top 10 guys on our draft board in this draft, which is pretty incredible. He did opt out of the doctor exam, which is a little concerning, but I'm not that concerned. We have now advanced on to the third round, and at pick 80, this is where we're going to start to reach for some position players that may not have a high overall, but I'm kind of banking on their potential being high. The first one that we end up taking is Amaury Valentin, a third baseman out of Ohio. I hope that he can at least be decent. Brian Parra is going to be the next position player that we kind of reach on. He is draft rank 139, and we're going to end up selecting him at pick 110. He bats left-handed, throws left-handed, maybe not the best hitter, but the fielding and arm are not that bad. So we end up taking him, and hopefully his potential is decent, and he can actually live up to that potential in the long run. So the last catcher available in this draft is Nathan Flores. I at least wanted to take one catcher, and since he's the last one left and he's got decent looking potential, I think we're going to take him at pick 140 and hope that he hits the high side of the potential. He is injured, and I actually didn't know that when I drafted him, but I hope that's nothing serious as well. With the last pick we have in the draft is Samuel Delgado. He's a starting pitcher out of Missouri. He is the only non-18-year-old that we are going to end up drafting. He is draft rank 67 on our board and not even ranked on the overall big board. So worth a risk, I think, in the last round of the draft. Maybe he ends up having decent potential, and the overall should be right around a 60-something. So that is going to be the end of the draft. We obviously have to wait to check out the overalls and the potential of these guys. And we'll get to that at the end of the episode after we have all these guys signed, which we should have no problem signing them. All of their demands are not that bad. We are now at the All-Star break and only have one All-Star this year. It is Salvador Perez, who, I mean, he's deserving. 19 home runs at 265 average. I wish the OBP was a little bit higher, but he's still having a pretty solid season. With the draft behind us, we now turn to the trade deadline and are actually going to be making a move right now. We're going to be trading away Franmil Reyes, who is having a fantastic year. 18 home runs, a 299 average, a 340 OBP. He is going to be dealt to the Texas Rangers for Ezekiel Duran, an infielder that can play multiple positions. He's not really hitting well for the Rangers, but he is only 23 years old, has plenty of team control left, and he's going to be on our big league club getting regular starts at third base for the rest of the year. And that does mean we are going to send down Bobby Bradley. The experiment with him just didn't really work. Only 7 for 40 with no extra base hits, so he's optioned down to the minor leagues, and we are going to call up Nick Prado. And he is going to be similar to Bobby Bradley in the sense that he is just being thrown into the fire, and we're kind of hoping that he figures it out. I mean, he is 24 and has already had a little bit of big league experience, so hopefully he gets it figured out for us. We are being offered a trade from the Cleveland Guardians, and I mean, they are a division rival of ours. You don't really see that many in-division trades, but they only want Matt Duffy, who I'm willing to give away, and it's actually going to save us some money. And in return, we're not getting anything special. I mean, Marcos Gonzalez, he's not really high potential. The overall's not that high. He can at least play multiple positions and play decent defense and has decent contact, so we do accept that trade. And on to another offer, this one from the St. Louis Cardinals. They want Jordan Lyles, a starting pitcher who is 32 years old. He's been pitching pretty well. He's been eating up a lot of innings. And I mean, he does have another year of team control. He's under contract. Well, not team control, but he's under contract for another year. And I mean, we don't necessarily have to trade him unless the offer is that great. And it is pretty great. They are willing to give us Joshua Baez, who's 19 years old, has a good overall, B potential. He's not really hitting at AAA. I mean, this should be a slam dunk deal, but I'm going to say no. And that's just because I don't think this is exactly the most fair trade for the Cardinals. So we decline it for now. But guess what? The Cardinals, they offer again, and they're offering Joshua Baez again. This time they don't want Jordan Lyles. They actually want Ryan Yarbrough, who is having a worse year than Jordan Lyles. So you know what? I said, like, if you want a starting pitcher that bad, we'll make a trade, but we'll make it a little bit more realistic. We'll not only give them Jordan Lyles, we'll also give them Scott Barlow, who is a closing pitcher slash relief pitcher who has a sub-1 whip. And I mean, he's not really doing too much for us, but he can do something for the Cardinals, who are trying to win their division and make a deep playoff run. And yes, we are going to get back Joshua Baez, a promising outfielder, but we're also going to be getting back relief pitcher Zach Thompson, a lefty who has been shoving at AAA. He's got a 2.63 ERA, a 1.24 whip, 27 saves. He will be getting the call up to our big league team after we go ahead and make this deal. So I think that's a pretty fair deal. Let me know what you think of that one down below. That is the one deal I was kind of questioning that I made in this episode. We end up calling Logan Porter straight up from AA to the big leagues because he was just dominating AA so much, hitting nearly 300 and nearly had a 350 OBP. He should be a decent bench bat to have for the rest of the year. And it is time for us to actually talk about the draft picks that we made and check out their overalls and potential. Daryl Ciccone ends up being a 62 overall, a potential. You like that? I was hoping maybe a little higher on the overall, but it's definitely not bad. He's got good walks per 9, and the biggest concern I have with him is his durability. It is only a 52. He obviously is going to have to stay healthy in order to develop, and I mean, that low durability could mean he's not going to be able to stay healthy, but I guess we'll see. David Perez, only a 58 overall, and the potential is just a B. He also has injury concerns. That rating is just a 59, so slightly better than Daryl Cinconi, but not the greatest. Manuel Aquino, he ends up being a 66 overall. You like a lot of the ratings. He does need to work on the pitching clutch and the hits per 9, and also needs to work on the durability. Just a 56. So all 3 of these starting pitchers we took early in the draft, they all have injury concerns. Samuel Delgado, the last pick we made in the draft, I think he projects more so as a reliever with the high K per 9 and the low walks per 9, but I guess we'll try him as a starting pitcher for now and see if he ends up being able to do that. Onto the position players that we ended up selecting. Uri Valentin, the third baseman, is a potential with a 51 overall. Obviously, we knew the overall was not going to be great on any of the position players that we ended up taking, but at least the potential does end up being an A. And Brian Parra is also a potential. He's a 52 overall, and if you look at his ratings, I think he could actually play pretty decent right away in his career in the minor leagues with 43 contact. The vision and discipline are all right, and the arm is pretty good. Nathan Flores is a 49 overall. That's pretty bad, but the potential is a B, and I kind of expected it to be a C, and I would have been fine with that, but it's a B, so I would call that a win. He needs to work on pretty much everything, especially as a catcher. And I mean, a lot of these players that we drafted, they're quite a ways away from the big leagues. And I mean, that's okay, because I kind of already expected this rebuild to take some time. And as for the actual potentials, you can see they're not exactly what I was hoping for the pitchers, but the position players are all above expectations. 96, 94, and 85 for the 3 position players we took's potential, and that is above what I was expecting and above what we scouted on 2 of them. The pitchers are, like I said, slightly below, but they're not bad potential. It's just not exactly what I was hoping for. I thought their potential would be a bit higher. But yeah, that's all for our draft. How about the players we didn't end up selecting? Martin McGrath, he went number 1 overall. He looks okay. Terrence Berman, I hoped he would fall to the 2nd round, and I could see why he didn't fall. 93 potential, as 70 overall. He is almost big league ready now. Gilberto Diaz, 89 potential, and I would say he is big league ready against left-handed pitching, but he needs a bit of work when it comes to facing right-handed pitching. Robert Nakamura is a 67 overall with 81 potential, so the potential on him is a lot lower than I thought it would be, but the overall is pretty good. John McGregor, 87 potential, a 66 overall. It kind of sucks that all these position players ended up having high overalls. I was really wanting one of them in the 2nd round, and it just didn't happen. Orlando Tovar, a 71 overall. The potential, only 84, but he's pretty much big league ready if you need him to be. How did the other teams in the division draft? Well, the Tigers, I would say they did okay. Not amazing, especially considering they did have the 3rd pick in the draft. The Twins, they did okay, getting a closing pitcher that could be pretty good right away with a 69 overall and 89 potential, and a catcher that's B potential as well. The team that drafted the worst in the division, it's the White Sox. They didn't get a single guy above a 78 potential. That is extremely disappointing, at least for them. The Guardians, they had a great draft. They got 4 people that are probably going to make an impact at some point in the big leagues, including Aaron McCarthy, who is a 73 overall already. And after looking around, we actually drafted the player with the highest potential in the draft in Uri Valentin, the 3rd baseman. Didn't expect that, but I'll take it. But yeah, that's going to be all for today's episode. In the next episode, we are going to be getting all the way through the end of the season, because I mean, this first season, it's not going well. So we'll finish off season number 1 in the next episode. Thanks for watching this one, and I will see you then.